It was a beautiful summer day in the quiet neighborhood of Maplewood. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and kids were playing in the park. But something was amiss. Mrs. Johnson's cat, Mr. Whiskers, had gone missing. Mrs. Johnson had searched high and low but to no avail. She had put up flyers, called the local animal shelter, and even went door to door asking her neighbors if they had seen him. But there was no sign of Mr. Whiskers. Enter Jane, Jake, and Max. 3 kids who had grown up together in Maplewood and had always been curious about the world around them. They were spending their summer vacation hanging out at the park when they saw Mrs. Johnson looking sad and disheartened. They asked her what was wrong, and she told them about Mr. Whiskers. The 3 friends immediately sprang into action. They knew they had to help find Mr. Whiskers. They spent the rest of the day canvassing the neighborhood, asking people if they had seen the missing cat. But no one had any information. That's when Jane had an idea. "We should start our own detective agency," she exclaimed. "We can solve the case of the missing cat and help people in our neighborhood." Jake and Max were excited by the idea, and they quickly set to work. They gathered materials, made badges, and created a plan of action. They called themselves the Maplewood Detective Agency, and they were determined to find Mr. Whiskers. They went back to Mrs. Johnson's house and began to gather clues. They searched the bushes and trees, and even checked under the porch. That's when they found something interesting, a paw print in the dirt. "Mr. Whiskers must have walked through here," Max said excitedly. "We should follow the trail and see where it leads." And so, the 3 detectives followed the paw print, which led them down the street and into the woods. As they followed the trail, they encountered a series of obstacles. They had to cross a stream, climb over a fence, and dodge a pack of barking dogs. But they persisted, and eventually, the trail led them to an old abandoned building on the outskirts of town. The detectives were hesitant to enter the building, but they knew they had to be brave. They crept inside, flashlight in hand, and began to search the dark, dusty space. That's when they heard a faint meowing sound coming from the corner of the room. It was Mr. Whiskers. He had somehow gotten himself trapped in the building. The detectives quickly scooped up the cat and brought him back to Mrs. Johnson's house. She was overjoyed to have her beloved pet back safe and sound. Word of the Maplewood Detective Agency quickly spread throughout the neighborhood. The kids began to receive requests to help solve all sorts of mysteries: missing bikes, stolen toys, and even a lost wedding ring. And they were always up for the challenge. The Maplewood Detective Agency had found their calling. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they knew they had the power to make a difference in their community. And all because of a missing cat named Mr. Whiskers.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more fun and educational content.